Dr. Garcia, it's good to see you. Welcome to Sports Doc Talk. I'm Will Sanchez along with Dr. Grant Garcia. As always, we are really excited about today's show. We're always happy that you're joining us, and be sure to check us out on YouTube and your favorite listening platforms. Dr. Garcia, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited for our guest today. Grant Kashner is going to be awesome. Talk
Yep.
about some innovative technology. Before we introduce him and talk about this amazing product he's going to show us, we have a really nice sponsorship we want to talk about. So today, this episode is sponsored to you by Recovery Shop. And really, this has been awesome for me. I use this for my patients. And the problem is that, when you get surgery, a lot of patients are like, hey, what else can I do? What can I do to get better? What can I do to recover faster? I heard about all these braces and these creams and these patches and
Yeah.
cooling products. We'll talk about one of those today. Recovery drinks, nutrition. We've had nutrition supplements on here. We've had a lot of these people on here. And the problem is that in the office, the patients are asking me tons of different questions. They'd ask me, where do I get them? Can you go on Amazon and help me find them? A lot of things. And it's just so time consuming. So I started partnering with this place called the Recovery Shop. And what it is it offers the surgeon's ability to offer their patients all of these products I'm talking about. They can get pretty much anyone you want aftermarket, and they're really high quality, and then works together to help your patients find it all in one spot, and then they can buy those things for their surgery as they see fit. And it's really been a game changer for my patients. They really love the products they are offered. They're a lot more trusting than having to go through a bunch of Amazon reviews.
Yeah.
I really encourage it. So if any surgeons are interested, again, this is signed up for the surgeons for their patients to get them better. Feel free to reach out. I have a link on my website, or you can visit the website link here for Recovery Shop. And thank you again, guys.
Shop-recovery.net. So be sure to check it out. Dr. Garcia, let's talk a little bit about our guest today and what our listeners and viewers are in for.
Well, you're in for a real treat. This is a product used by both the hosts of this, and it has been a game changer. And basically started for us in early December, and we have patient number one here who wants to
That's
show his
me.
experience.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And for those who have listened to the show, Thanksgiving morning, I tore my Achilles. I went in for surgery. And then in December, I've got my I love it, nice package. Let's look back to December 2023 when I received that package. Hey, welcome everyone. I got a great package here from Nice Recovery System, a great company out there in Colorado. I want to thank Grant Kashner for sending this to me. This is really going to help me with my healing process, a cold and compression therapy system. Got a cool little boots. Got all these great accessories, exactly whatever you need. So I'm really looking forward to utilizing this. I am 11 days out of surgery. I ruptured my Achilles tendon. Thankfully for me, Dr. Anthony Yee from Orthopedic Specialists of Seattle did the procedure. In fact, he did the Speed Bridge procedure, which you might have heard from our previous shows. So as soon as I can get out of this cast, start getting this compression therapy system working, I'm looking forward to getting healed, and I'll keep everyone updated on my process. And what a product it was. I'm really excited to talk about it. And anyone that's thinking about it, that's a patient that has gone through healing, this was absolutely incredible. And we're really excited to have Dr. Grant Kashner. Everybody's a doctor.
He's so excited, Grant, to have you on here. He can't even contain himself.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And yeah, that's certainly a great video. I've been through it myself, being under the knife 3 times. So a patient as well as, luckily the first employee, and yeah, been kind of worn all the hats as far as, getting to where we are today. So thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Before I tell my experience, Grant, why don't you tell them we keep telling everybody about this nice machine. Will showed a secret little video, but why don't you tell everybody what it does? Because while Will did an amazing job, we still don't really know what it does.
Sure. So at the kind of the most basic definition, it's kind of the best pain control device on the market, right? It does cold and compression without the need for ice. So we use a thermoelectric technology where it gets the the water to a targeted temperature in between kind of a 4-degree temperature range from 59 to 42 degrees, and stays at a constant temperature once it reaches that. So it's just kind of the best, for lack of a better term, mousetrap on the market, newest technology, and kind of the most portable package for the patient.
Yeah, this is awesome. So for those patients out there, so I've gone through surgery. I've tried the old ice machines, and my wife, I could tell you, when I had to get this done, she was not pleased with having to change the ice bags every couple hours. We found every trick possible. We tried frozen peas. We tried frozen stuff and thrown in the water because we literally could not produce enough ice to cool it down. And I'm a sucker for ice. I ice my shoulder if it hurts. So when we started meeting up with Grant and we first were able to offer this product, because we were the first in the one of the first in the state to be able to have this option for our Washington State patients. I was like, well, Grant, I love this. This is awesome. It sounds cool, but like, let's try it first, right? Because I want to make sure that if I try, I always tell Will this, like, my patients get offered innovative technology. I want to feel confident. And if I'm going to sell the product to my patients and get really excited about it, I want to make sure it is a difference. So the minute Grant got me one, he sent it to my house. I put it on. It was a huge difference. I mean, we're talking about the cooling system has 5 cooling depths. I'm a max kind of guy, so I went to 5 right away. Probably not always the best thing when you're post surgery, but 5 up there. You don't have to ever refill it with ice, which is so freaking awesome. Just a little bit of water, and the compression was really a big difference. And I think Will's nodding his head because he felt the huge difference as well. I mean, even I'm a guy that throws ice bags on my shoulders after I work out sometimes. And this was better than that. And my wife looks at it and goes, oh, I really wish we had that for your surgery. That would have been a much better thing. And then it was funny because I had my father-in-law over who had surgery on his shoulder, and he tried it and he was like, what is this thing? This is awesome. And then I also had one of my good friends, and she's pretty particular on things. She actually was one of our podcast recommenders early on. And she tried on her shoulder after she had shoulder surgery, and she was like, I'm sold. I wish I had this for mine. So right then and there, I knew we were onto something good, and it's kind of taken off after that. So thank you again, Grant, for introducing us to this awesome product. And the patient experience has been off the hook. They're so happy. I don't want to take too much thunder, but we have patients. The crazy part of my job is I get patients with 2 knees, right? And so a year ago, I did a couple patients with their knees, and then they wanted their other side done. And I got to literally have the head-to-head experience. And patients, when they tried it, they were like, why didn't you give me this before? I'm like, dude, listen, we always wish I had the technology earlier, but we didn't. So anyhow, it's I really appreciate it. This is awesome. I'm so excited to have you on here, and I want the viewers to be able to understand this better.
No, thank you. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's I didn't know this coming into the business, and I would have thought, definitely not thought this was the train of thought. We have patients that actually call us, and they're looking at doctors or surgeons in certain areas, and the ones that offer the nice machine, they're considering going to them versus the ones that don't. And we obviously have to tell them, go to the surgeon that is the highest recommended that does the surgery that you need, right? And then we'll obviously worry about the post-op process after. But that was something that we saw too, was just how much it really does affect the patient experience post-op in a very dramatic way. So I'm glad you guys kind of see the same thing.
Yeah, let me jump in real quick. It is not only great for the patient, it is great for your marriage. And Dr. Garcia alluded to that. The fact that I was a this is you're saving relationships and marriages and partnerships. So thank you, because the fact that I put it's what I felt was like an ounce or 2 ounces, and I'll let you describe it, of water into this machine, and it's running for about a month. And I'm like, how is this possible? And I'm utilizing this at least once an hour, throwing this on, wrapping it up, putting the compression, getting the cold in there, utilizing this. My wife is sitting there with the remote like, well, all I got to do is just get food for this man. I don't have to get an ice bag every hour and run into the store.
Torture. It's torture.
You're saving relationship. Forget about the patients. The technology is amazing, but the fact that our wives still love us after disrupting their lives for months, I can't thank you and everyone there at NICE. Thank you for saving our relationships.
Well, I will
come in today.
Yeah, we're gonna add you know, marital bliss as well to the
marital bliss.
I love it. I love it. And one more last shout out. So my partner just had a big knee surgery, and he comes to me and he's like, "Hey man, my knee's pretty stiff, and I've been doing the ice compression with the ice buckets, and it's I don't know, I'm just still stiff." And I'm like, "Dude, did you hear about this thing I'm offering?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" Right? And so I was like, "Hey, I call Grant. He ships it to him next day." Such a move, man. I really appreciate it. And he literally, this is, my partner is amazing, but he doesn't really say much. Like, he's chill and he's not going to like complain. He doesn't complain about anything. I had to literally ask him how he's doing. He operated like a week and a half after like a massive surgery. I mean, this guy is tough. And he comes to me, he goes, all I wrote was nice. Exclamation mark. And he comes the next day and he was like, "Dude, that was awesome. That is so much better. I can't believe it." So thanks again. I mean, it's just been nonstop. People are nonstop impressed with the product. So it's I feel bad for other people that aren't able to offer it, but again, it's not that hard. And we'll get into, like, you know, anybody can offer this option. This is not something that because I do, you know, I work with Recovery Shop and I work with you guys and stuff like that, that, you know, I have elite product access to it. No, the whole point of this show is to show people that anybody can have it. And patients want it. And it's the same thing we talked about before from a marketing standpoint. I mean, I hate to say it, guys, but you know, if you're a surgeon, like, patients come to me because I offer innovative stuff. Like, I try to do a good job. I think I've got a decent reputation, but really, like you said, people are calling, they're calling Arthrex, they're calling other companies, and they're like, who should we go to? Right. And that brings patient referrals. And it's not like you should sign up for this, or, you know, it's not a subscription or anything, but it's not like you should do something because it helps that. But if it's from a marketing standpoint and it's good for your patients, this is a win-win-win, right? Everybody wins. And that's always the key here in a type of relationship. So, and you go, thanks again, Grant. This is awesome. Do you want to, I want to kind of stop talking a little bit less and let you talk some more, because obviously I want everybody to hear about this.
We don't even need Grant Kashner. Grant, just hang out. Let us talk for you. In fact, you don't just sit back. You got a nice hat on. You got your gear.
This is great.
He looks good. He's chilling. He's
chilling. And just go like that, because we're doing all the talking for you. But
well, no, you know, I appreciate it. Will can tell you we are terrible on this.
We are terrible. Hey, why don't you tell us a little bit about the company, how it started, and the founder? Let's kind of get down to the roots, and what was the inspiration to start to look into this technology and how it developed from day one to where you're at right now?
Sure. No, and it's actually a really cool story. So our founder and CEO, Michael Ross, he, you know, for just, you know, again, not the, you know, kind of a buzzwordy term, was a serial entrepreneur, right, in his career, a few different businesses, moved to Boulder to kind of figure out his next move, right? While he was in Boulder, he decided to take up ski racing, right, at the young age of 46 years old. So if you guys know about downhill ski racing, you're going about 85 miles an hour, turning, you know, at about 45 degrees, you know, every, let's call it, you know, a few hundred yards. So I'm sure you know what happens next to a 46-year-old, you know, man. And he destroyed one of his knees, blew his IT band off, tibial plateau, every ligament, and was essentially, you know, ski in, ski out to the Stedman Clinic in Vail. So he had a series of surgeries done by Tom Hackett at Stedman, and then used our competitive product, which is a Game Ready. And I know you're not supposed to say your competitors, but they did a great job, you know, kind of seeding the market with a really good product, and then honestly just didn't ever product innovate. So Michael used this product, realized that there, you know, was just inefficiencies and there was better technology on the market. So just being, you know, hard-headed and kind of spiteful, started engineering a better product, and about 2 years later brought a pretty good working prototype to the Stedman Clinic, showed Dr. Hackett as well as Dr. Phillip on, and they were, you know, jumped all over it technology wise. Similar to, you know, you, Dr. Garcia, they also love kind of the innovative technology and wanted to, you know, stand behind, especially an American made product, right? We were even then we set up, American manufacturing in Boulder through a contract manufacturer. And then now we make everything in-house. So long story short, from there, he went to working on the FDA. And then somehow, I called him when I had a couple other things going on, just on some kind of, advice, and the timing worked out. And this was in April of 2016. So I hopped on board, and it truly was, a garage company, but he didn't have a garage. So it was in his home office. So, and then from there, about 2 months later, he was actually getting married. So we had to find an office building. So that kind of started the whole business. We had 3 units produced, and we had to find an office. So it's been every kind of building block, figuring out this business. I don't know if you guys are know a lot about the kind of the very niche kind of DME market, but it's a very interesting world, as far as, no insurance, and figuring out kind of delivery and service and product, and, just how to bring a good solution to the market. Right. And I feel like, 8 years later, we finally have arrived. So, overnight success just takes, about, 8 to 10
8
years.
years.
And
8 to 10 years. Yep.
Well, it's interesting for the viewers to hear that last part you said about, the difficulty of the DME market. What they're not realizing is that, like, you don't have like a nice rep on the ground, right? Like, it's not like, you hear guys hear about these products, like, these amazing Arthrex products. There's lots of other ones we've talked about. When we get those things, those are surgeries, like, they're getting delivered before. We got a ton in house. Like, I could do pretty much any surgery I want in house. It's all there. I got a little bag and I can grab whatever I need. This has to be shipped from all over. And so it's got to be shipped with quality, and it's got to be functional. But I think the one really important thing about the product is that it's, despite how smart it is and technology driven it is, it's actually pretty easy to use. And, like, you just don't need instruction manuals, which is really good for the patients, because everyone, and we have a lot of smart patients, but the technology can be a challenge, especially when you start doing, in the total knee population, as you get a little bit older, they're not a big fan of using their phone or remotes or things like that. So again, it's a little less of my patient population, but overall, there's so many outlets for this. And so it's amazing to have a technology that's simple but effective. What other institutions? I know you guys do a lot of Stedman. Are there any other places you guys have worked with around the country, or you're kind of like, I know you guys do a lot with HSS now too. Any other place for the viewers to kind of hear places you've worked with? Because again, you're a lot bigger company than you were from 3 machines now.
Yeah. So our roots are obviously in our backyard in Colorado, right, where Michael got his kind of got his, fixed and kind of on this track. So Stedman is the big, kind of start from there. A lot of docs kind of train there and then go other places, right? So we do a big volume of business in TCO, so in Minnesota, right?
Yep.
A lot of connectivity there.
I think we're partnering with them now. We're Pelto. We're part of the Pro Alliance, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So, a very big presence there. Obviously HSS is another, very big kind of stronghold for us. We do a good volume of work in resurgence in the Atlanta market as well. So,
Awesome.
Yep. And then we have been growing significantly in the Carroll Clinic and the Dallas market, kind of rapidly Dr. Garcia, you kind of hit it on the head, right? You need good stewards of the product, right? We're the manufacturer, and, we want to choose with good people to represent us in the market, because people remember the doc and they remember the product, right? They don't really remember the people in between that, because it's who fixed them and then what helped them after getting fixed, right? So it's really important to have good people that represent the product, because if they don't deliver it, or they don't service the patient, or they don't, communicate with the patient or communicate with the doc and the physician and the staff, then the patient experience just doesn't follow the quality of the product. So the main, a lot of the driver of our growth is also choosing really good partners to represent the product in certain markets. And that's kind of what goes hand in hand, right? We have a really good network, a really good product, and then we choose really good partners that service the product and stewards to the patient.
And I don't want to jet out of this topic, but one thing for the people that are listening is and this is a kind of a full circle episode. So, you know, one of the good ones you guys have is recovery shop. So we work with them, and if, you know, a surgeon's part of recovery shop, they can get that product to their patients really easily. And they've been amazing. And again, I don't want to overdo it because we already talked about them as a sponsorship, but for people to know, like, this all is intertwined, right? How does this work? It's not like, you know, as good as Grant is, he can't deliver them all himself. So he's got to have someone help him. And so they've done an amazing job. And anybody knows that, you know, when you partner like this, it's really nice to know that, like you said, like, Grant's team is amazing, but also adding another amazing team like the recovery shop guys together allows us to automatically, you know, our patients are getting these things flown in all the time, you know, and if there's any issue, like sometimes patients will forget and they'll get it like the last minute and they get it to them overnight. Like this, it's not always easy in the winter snowstorms, but, you know, the service has been amazing. And again, I'm in Seattle. It's not very easy. We have the hardest place to go. I mean, it's one of the farthest distances from anywhere in the country. And patients have been really pleased. We've been doing this for, you know, 6 months. So anyhow, so that's just good for patients to know, like, how it works, kind of behind the scenes. And it's easy. Again, so let's say a patient's listening to this, right? Or a doc's listening to it. How does the patient, like, let's say a patient wants to get one of these machines, can they work through you guys, or can they talk to their surgeon? What do you guys recommend? What's the easiest thing?
So kind of, it works both ways, right? What I always say is there needs to be an actionable event which is a patient getting injured, right? Then what happens is that actionable event drives to a physician who writes a script for that patient, right, to obviously get surgery and then, you know, be fixed. So it really drives from the patient side, right? The patient need. So that's really, patients can get a hold of us, and then physicians as well, right? We get a lot of surgeons that kind of, you know, see what you're doing, Dr. Garcia, right? And see what, you know, the guys at HSS are doing, and see what the guys at, you know, resurgeons are doing, and see what, you know, kind of the big clinics that really run very efficiently and very, you know, professionally are doing, and obviously want to copy it. So mostly, if patients want to rent it, they can get in contact with us. We will get them in contact with the recovery shop, who will service them, you know, immediately. That's another reason why we do such good work with them, is I can send them a patient referral, and I know within 30 minutes that patient's going to be contacted, and you know, just we'll have a very good service experience.
That's important and also for the patients. You mentioned something that's really important, and it's kind of confusing to think about it, but this is a rental, guys. And I'll tell you why that's such a good idea, because it sounds weird, right? You're renting a system and then you're giving it back, right? But I own an ice machine, and it's still in my garage.
Yep.
And I can't get rid of it. And I'm a Seattle guy, you know, we're environmentally friendly here. And I've got a huge plastic thing sitting in my garage. And I know all my other patients have a huge plastic thing sitting in their garage. And so they never get used again, or they get used once, or my friends take it from me and borrow it. And now you can rent something, and you only get it for a couple of weeks, and then you can give it back, which is great. And then it's reused. Essentially, it's recycling, right? Which is awesome, because you don't need this is not a 10, 12, 14 week product, right? You know, for me, most of my patients are renting 3 weeks, 4 weeks. What do you think on average people for you guys are doing usually?
It all depends on case, right? So, you know, for me, that I had an ACL revision with an LET, right? I was more in that 8, you know, kind of a 6-8 week bracket, because I was pushing it pretty hard in the rehab, right? I'd say primarily most people are in that 3 week, right? 4 week, maybe 5 week range. And then scopes, you know, a couple. Really what happens is the first 2 weeks are the pain control. Then once they start getting into PT, right, just depending on how aggravated that kind of joint gets, kind of deems how much they're going to need it. But generally it's usually about 2 to 4 weeks. And just to add one thing to your point, Dr. Garcia, every patient gets a brand new wrap. So each wrap is a single patient use. I just wanted to, you know, clarify that, so that
that's important to remember. Yes. No.
No, you get a brand new wrap, super high quality, 4-layer, you know, air, water, and then
Show
the
it on
outside,
there.
Yep, exactly. So they're all ergonomically designed per joint or per site. And yeah, we keep expanding the wrap line. Will, I saw your video with our old ankle wrap, but we just brought out a new ankle wrap, which I was like, no, I wanted to get you that one, but
we'll get him up. We got to give him an upgrade.
I want to say this. Listen, I don't know what these folks here are talking about. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. I did not want to give it back. Okay. Because it was just like something was feeling a certain way. I had swelling, you're still kind of recovering. You kind of go, I did not want to give it back. I got my FedEx sticker to send it back, and I was just real sad face, just putting it in the bubble wrap and just really folding it nicely. I was like saying goodbye to a friend. And then the first time I needed to use ice, I was angry. I was like, these SOBs, and I had to send it back. So listen, yeah, send it back, utilize it. But the problem is, once you get used to it and you utilize it, and it's so simple and so effective that you don't want to give this back. So I don't, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I was really angry when I had to send it back and disappointed. My wife came with me.
So
we went to FedEx and to drop it off.
So your wife's gonna have to go with you because it's a marital thing, remember, right? With this nice machine. And when you give it back, you're gonna be sad. But when you get it, you're gonna be happy. It's kind
great.
of this is a good, I like this part.
It was great.
So yeah, I mean, basically what you guys can hear is that, this, and the nice thing too is, like Grant will say, when you work with these companies, recovery, or, just directly with you guys, if someone wants to keep it, they can, they just extend the rental. It's not something you have to return, and then re-rent it or something like that. And what's cool is you guys keep coming out with new wraps, right? I like, for my patients in the knee, we started doing a lot of straight wraps. Can you show the straight one over there? But then, Grant's like, we have something even better. We have an articulating wrap. I think this is what separates you guys even more from the other companies too. Would you say? I mean, you have so many more options and it's customizable. I mean, you have a hip wrap. That's crazy, right? Like I've tried a few of these and they're really impressive.
And that's kind of what our company's built on, right? Is innovation around, we kind of saw what Michael's really good at is seeing what our competition does and doesn't do well, right? And they don't product innovate, and they don't keep the products moving forward. So the unit that we first produced in 2015, while it looks the same, has probably 15 or so upgrades internally and slightly externally as well, that we just want to keep upgrading the technology. Like we just put a brushless pump in there from a brushed pump, right? Because the technology in the market is is updated from 8 years ago. And the wraps, that's another big area that we look at, right? We are bringing out ones that people aren't even really considering: an amputee wrap, right? A glove. We have an integrated solution with Aspen on their bracing line, where we can integrate cold into bracing, right? We have a new ankle boot that fits into a boot walker. So we're really trying to cover everything, right? We have a new elbow specific coming to the market as well that covers the distal bicep. So like we're really trying to look at kind of the complicated stuff that not a lot of companies can cover, and really have good solutions for it.
I think that's really important
about that
too,
there.
what you just said, Grant.
I
think it's important you said, like, sorry, Will, I just say make sure patients hear that, like, this product going to keep getting better too, which is awesome. And it's made for everybody. It's not like, some things like you get 2 pads, right? It's like a back, leg, and that's it. And trust me, I had back and I was using a knee pad because there was no lumbar. There was no lumbar stuff. So yeah, I know it's amazing. So anyhow, so keep going, Will. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. What you're saying is absolutely makes sense. I just wanted to kind of put up there and talk about what this is, and just kind of describe it a little bit more for those that haven't used it, right? So I alluded to that in the beginning, right? So you have this pretty much, it looks like a box. We've shown it, but if you're listening, just want to give you a description. Is a blue box that has an LED screen. You can set compression, no compression, how cold, from 1 to 5. So it gives you a lot of options. But going back to the no ice, what is, or how many ounces of water are you adding to the tank? And what is the timeline, depending on how long you use it, that you can keep that on before you have to even add more water to it?
Sure. So, great question. And we have a couple parts of the machine that aren't really, pumped out there like that. And one being the water, right? It's 9 ounces of water fits in the tank. Each wrap holds about, or, let me use milliliters because it kind of just converts a little bit easier.
Yeah.
350 milliliters are in the tank, right? Each wrap holds about 100 to 150 milliliters. So that's actually what we cool. And the other kind of is extra, right? It's a closed loop cycle. So essentially, unless there's a little bit of, kind of evaporation, or, there's a couple drops that come out of the connector every once in a while, you might have to put a couple ounces in it every 2-3 months, just depending on, again, how hot it is outside, but
Crazy.
yeah, apart from that, the machine will actually tell you when it's too low. And there are some, some machines in clinic that they probably, because it's at a nice cool cool area, and it's been connected to the same wrap for, forever. They probably haven't put any water in it in, a year or two. So
That's just amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing. That's just, I mean, that's just ridiculous. I felt bad keeping the water in there for like 3 days because I was
yeah,
like, oh, I
no,
got to
it's
change it. But it's amazing what it can do.
and
Yeah.
and for patients, really the biggest thing, and I kind of touched on this, is it's the kind of the best pain control mechanism, right? And it stays at a constant temperature. Now we have preset programs on this. And again, it's not one of those things that we pump out there, but if you know about it, then, then the patients love it. So our preset timing programs have a 10 cycle memory. So that meaning we have a 30 on, 30 off setting, which gets the patient 10 hours of runtime, 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, without them having to touch the unit. So
Oh, that's
for pain
awesome.
control at night, it's a game changer, because usually to heal, you need to sleep. And if you can't sleep because of pain, you're usually grabbing for opiates, right? Because that helps you kind of leave the pain
Yeah.
and sleep.
Yeah.
Because this runs at that 10 hours of 30 on, 30 off, your pain control mechanism is consistent, right? And it's there every time, so that you're not grabbing that 3 a.m., right? Or, tapping your wife and saying, honey, it's
Tapping the
3 a.m.
wife. Yep.
Yeah, go
Go get me some ice.
fill this up. Exactly.
Or
So,
pills,
yeah.
So
Yep.
that's a huge thing. I think that opioid sparing is all over, man, and it's a
Mhm.
big deal, right? We don't want. I don't want to go into the opioid pandemic and
Sure.
all the other craziness,
Yeah.
but it's a big deal. And for patients, I have so many patients that come in. They're like, I won't want to use a single opioid. I'm like, well, I totally get it, and I want to find every way possible. I'm looking at all different alternatives. We're always looking for new technology to reduce that, but it's tough for these huge surgeries we're doing. I mean, the patients that benefit the most from the NICE machine are the biggest surgeries. I mean, everyone benefits, but like my more complex surgeries get a huge benefit from it. And I basically tell them it's just almost a non-factor that they should get it. Right. But this ability to drop the opioid use is humongous. And the fact is, ice is so harmless, and this machine's harmless. Again, I maxed out. I do ice bags, and I've gotten some shoulder burns before on ice bags, and I had the NICE machine cranked up. It's crazy. It felt just as cold as the ice bag, but I didn't get a single concern about that. Like I never,
Mhm.
my wife at first was like, take it easy, because she knows I go all out with the ice. And I cranked that thing up to 5, and it felt just as good and just as relieving, but without the concern for the burn. And so that's why this 30 on, 30 off is so important.
That's a big selling point right there. I think what you said right there is
Yeah.
because sometimes we'll cheat it also and maybe not use ice, but one of those ice packs that are kind of gel, and that is a different type of cold. And if you apply that to the skin, you're having other issues, other complications. So that's another great thing to consider, because for the same reasons we're talking about, either one, I can't make ice fast enough. I don't have the space in my freezer to buy an ice bag. Maybe I have some ice gel things that maybe I'm using something like that. If I use it, I don't use it properly, I can cause skin irritations and things like that. So I think it's another way to kind of promote the technology and the benefit of using the NICE recovery system.
You actually just brought up a really good point that I don't think a lot of consumers or people know kind of about thermo kind of regulation on the skin, right? So, um, if it's too cold, right, meaning it's below 38 degrees, so the ice goes to 42 degrees for a very specific reason, right? It's the coldest that you can get before you start to vasoconstrict on the patient, right? Which again doesn't create blood flow, doesn't create the best healing environment, right? There's a lot of reasons why you don't want it too cold. Um, all the news, all the newest studies out of actually Nicholas Institute of Sports Medicine and Technology in New York City, they actually did a bunch of trauma studies and saw the perfect temperature and the perfect kind of millimeters of mercury or compression level that created the best healing mechanism for the patient, right? And it's actually about 49 Fahrenheit and about 15 millimeters of mercury, or about our low of squeeze, right? And Dr. Garcia, to your point, everybody, especially athletes and just kind of high, kind of high motor individuals, we want it cold, 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 and squeeze, 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 right? But it's funny.
I put max on everything, so I'm just going to
Of course,
explain. I
me
am
too.
definitely that person.
Yeah, no, but it actually and we actually are hearing this now. It's funny how when we first came in, it was like people were like, it's not getting cold enough, right? And now everybody's like, no, it's perfect. You guys, it's kind of the best overall healing setting. So to your point, it's skin safe. It's electronically controlled, right, by software on the temperature. And yeah, it really is. For those big surgeries, I've had a couple absolutely massive ones just from being injured, doing extreme sports. It was I was shipping it around when I was flying to meetings and everything. I was
Yep.
overnighting it to hotels because it literally was the most important piece of equipment. And I was like, thank God I work for this company, because I'd be renting I would have bought one by now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's important for the listeners to know, like, obviously, like, I wouldn't recommend like taking this on all your trips with you, because it isn't super small, but it's actually
Yeah.
pretty easy. It's so light. I mean, how many pounds is it, you said?
9
It's
pounds?
like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. And it
I'm
comes in a carry case, which you can carry on. Don't check it,
Yeah.
right? Just carry it on as a second carry
Yeah,
on.
if
Um,
you need to, but
yeah.
it's not bad. I mean, the thing is, you guys ever carried one of those ice buckets? It's like so heavy, filled with water and ice. So I mean, this full is still not even that heavy. So it's great for people, especially any type of person can bring it around and carry it.
Well, and pro
I don't.
sports, right? So everything else
Yes.
is pretty big. So we do really well with pro sports because and college and high school, because there's no ice in the dorms. It's really hard to find ice on the road, in the hotels, on the team bus, on the team plane. So we do really well with any, teams that are traveling or people that are traveling that um, kind of are needing the technology on the road as well.
That's an awesome point. Remember, I would do the training room for, Giants and the Mets, et cetera. And like, there was just like ice flying off the handles there. And like
Yeah.
every guy wanted ice. But I can imagine that like, that's kind of the old way of doing things. You get a couple of these machines in, the major leagues or the NFL, and it's so much easier just to throw it on and you can run it so much longer. Like these pitchers, they'll come out and they got like an ice
Yep.
here, ice
Yep.
here. And it's just not efficient, right? And if they can't do that on the plane because it's going to melt.
Well,
So it is
and
nice to have that option.
it's really important to get the relief when you're needed, right? Like even a quick 20-minute session without having to, fumble with ice, especially if let's say you're on the road, you're moving around, right? You're kind of 6, 8 weeks, 10 weeks out, right? And that thing gets inflamed. Just having that machine there and the confidence that you can just hit a session quickly and not have to worry about it was the biggest confidence booster as well, mentally coming back from an injury. And I think that's slept on a lot too and kind of forgotten, is like kind of the mental battles that go along with injuries and the pain and the will I get back to doing what I want to do and be where I want to be. And alleviating the pain and at least getting, range of motion and starting the PT process and having the post-op process a little bit smoother is a major game changer as far as the mental, that's something that also really isn't talked about in the surgery. It's always like, no opiates, make sure you're doing this, but it's also like, hey, make sure you're, you know, that after surgery, you're feeling good about, you know, kind of getting back to where you want to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, I tell patients now, I've gotten so used to I'm like probably 35% therapist now in the office,
Yeah.
right? Like I do a lot of surgeries, but it's therapist. I mean, I tell a patient, I'm like, you're going to be back in 7 months, but this is not going to be back for at least a year. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. And I think, but one thing that's really nice about this option, just like some of the other stuff we talked about, is it gives patients the confidence that you're really invested in their, you know, their non-opioid presence, recovering faster. Because like a lot of these patients, they come in and I got a lot of stuff on my website and everything else. And so they know that I'm thinking about other things, but it's good for them to be like, you know, a lot of people get in the surgeon, they're like, all the surgeon cares about is surgery, right?
Yep.
Like I am going to operate, I'm going to fix you, I am a machine, and then you're going to be done with me, right? That's the concern. That's a fear of like I mean, I do so many second opinions because of the fear of machine, right? It's a huge problem. And listen, I'm not going to lie. I love surgery. Okay. I love fixing people. But at the same point, I really like people. When I fix somebody, I want them to feel totally safe and confident. And I want them to feel that they're getting the best care possible and that I'm not just another person churning out a patient in the office. I'm there I want to see them the whole way. You know, I have patients come by every week. Someone goes, "Are you going to see me after surgery?" And I'm like, "Did someone tell you that wasn't going to happen?" I was like, "I see everyone as much as I can because I want to make sure you're doing well." Right. And this is one of those things. I want to make sure patients do as well as possible. So offer the most innovative technology in the operating room, offer the best prehab, and then offer the best stuff post-operatively. And this is one of these options for them. And it's important for me because less opioids, they have less pain, they have less marital issues, they have less discomfort, you know, all these things. Right,
and
Will?
Oh yeah. I've got a two-part question for you. Are you doing anything for kid sizes? Has there been any studies that, you know, you say, okay, well, we're working on kid sizes and also this is the age that's appropriate? Like, so have you gone down that road yet?
It's actually a really good question, and we have to some extent. We've started
Okay.
down that path, and it's kind of stemmed from a couple things. One is our HSS Peds department, right?
Yeah.
We get a lot of, you know, unfortunate, you know, but fortunately for us, we can start to get ahead of it, right? And we can bring out products that really fit that age. Mostly, it's about 12 and up, right? But it's the smaller and not even peds. It's just kind of, you know, smaller people and even smaller old, you know, ladies in general. And mostly the shoulders, right? We can fit a leg, we can fit a knee, we can fit an ankle. It's the shoulders and the hips that are the kind of the biggest target areas for us. And that's really something that shoulders primarily we are focused on first, then hips. Everything else we can kind of maneuver right now with our current wraps, but we like to kind of again gauge the need. We love to work with, you know, surgeons and facilities and, you know, orthopods that say, hey, what about this, right? And something we haven't thought about or looked at, right? We can produce it, and we can produce it pretty quickly. Or if we need to make changes, right? We have the process dialed. So that's going to be a big focus of ours moving forward is a big peds line.
That's exciting.
And that's so important what you just said. I think for the surgeons listening and for the patients, you know, this is not just a product like a machine that just pumps cold. This is more. This is the sales experience. This is the concierge aspect. If you have a problem, you can call them. This is working with surgeons who know what they're doing, working with the partnerships like Recovery Shop. But finally, feedback, right? We've done so many company discussions on this thing. And you tell somebody something and it just goes in one ear and comes out the other. And the fact is, like, what you're saying is like, we listen to feedback. You know, the HSS Peds guys, that's where I trained, right? They do so much Peds. And in my practice now, I do 12 and up as well. And so for those patients, you know, you don't want to feel like they're underserved. And this is by the way, a kid could use this. It's not a dangerous product. It's just more the size fitting, right? Like anybody can use this. There's nothing, kids can have ice on their bodies and kids do stupid things with regular things. So this is not a dangerous product. Trust me, I have kids. So and Will knows this too. But anyhow, the point being is that it's nice to hear that you guys are like, we just keep hearing this more innovation. And this product, this is simple, right? It's a box that's got amazing technology in it that makes things cold and compresses, which is a phenomenal. But it's more than just that. It's like so many other things that are important that people don't think about, right? Like, what about a small arm? What about an elbow? Those are coming, right? All those things you guys keep continuing to improve. And it's just awesome. And we're looking forward to, the next year or two and seeing what more is to come.
Oh yeah, we got a lot under the hood.
Yes,
but
Will, any other
point,
questions?
I just wanted to add something to your kind of point you said before, right? It's, you're also a therapist, right? You fix the patients mentally, physically, all of that. And we hear that frequently on our side too, is that, if you call us, you're going to talk to a human, right? Dr. Garcia, you can text me and I'm going to reply quickly, right? It's like, and patients have that same experience, right? It's because we've been patients ourselves first, right? It's founder and CEO owned from an injury. So that really matriculates through the entire company, where we understand the patient experience through and through. And you really feel that in the company and the products and how we treat people. And, it kind of just perpetuates the whole company. And that's why we, really, really like working with surgeons like you, Dr. Garcia, because, we align so well just in our basic ethos and the way we do business and the way we, want to treat people. And that's really important to us from a medical, I know we're a medical device manufacturer, but just as, a company and as a person as well, we like to work with good people and treat people well.
I mean, I wouldn't call, the thing I want to take sure listeners see is we talk about a lot of different device things, but the mentality here, that one reason I like working with them so much, and I think the patients like it, is I do feel like it's a patient first mentality. And that's a challenge to find all the time, as Will and I've talked about in the market. The ability, like, you're coming out with you don't have to make all those things. A lot of these companies just make 3 pads, right? There's no reason you need to make a baby elbow pad.
No.
Right. There's no reason for it. You still sell a lot of stuff and you do well financially, but that's not big deal. Like, that's not the purpose for you. The purpose of you is you want people to feel good about it and do well. And that's why you have a product like that. That's why you guys worry about the temperature you can do, and you don't want to max out here, and you want to educate and things like this, the podcast, so people can understand what it's all about, right? It's not just a little box that does compression. There's more to it. There's so much that goes behind it. And to hear there's constantly being updated, it just makes people feel good, right? Like, you don't want something that's been stagnant. You don't want old technology. Patients don't want that, at least the ones that I deal with. And they want to know they're getting something that's updated and better. And that's what they get. Do you want to I guess one more topic, and then we can go maybe quick future stuff. For any doctors interested in using this, what do you recommend? I know we've talked about the Recovery Shop. That's an awesome outlet. So again, guys, check it out. And they work really well with the NICE team. If someone wants to get involved and make sure they offer this product, because I have a feeling after this episode, we're going to get a few. What do you recommend?
So I would say we love to obviously get the product, and like you guys, right? Let your experience. I want to put the product in your hands. Make sure it works well for them. They love it. Their patients love it. Their staff loves it, right? From there, we can figure out the details about the rental piece and how we figure out, how we get it delivered. That's usually what I like to start with is either, contact me, go through our website, and let's get you a demo.
Will, you want to put the website up one more time? There you go, guys.
We have a form on there you can fill out. And again, we like to start with a demo just to make sure, you like our company, you like our product, right? We align well. And then from there, we can figure out kind of all the details in the middle.
And I'd like to say, if you guys liked it from the podcast, make sure you drop the podcast in your likes so that Grant knows, you heard it on here. So you have some background information. So again, you heard it from us here. Go to the NICE Recovery if you're interested, and let them know what you want to know, because I think it'll be really good for your practice. Can
always go through you, and you can connect us. You know how to get a hold
of me
as
works.
Well. So,
whatever works. Awesome. Yeah, you guys can reach out to us at www.sportsdoc.com if you're curious. Again, all outlets. We like to make sure. I'm a competitive guy, but if every single person in the whole world got access to all this stuff, that's all I care about. To me, I care, number one, that your patients get this and they have access to this. I get no benefit from selling NICE machines. All right. I'm getting no cut from this. I just think it's such a good idea. And like, I care way more about all this technology. You know, 99% of the stuff I talk about, 100%, I get no cut on it. But all I care about is that the patients do better and they hear about this stuff, and that, you know, either they come to me and offer it or they go to somebody else that can offer it. Again, I'm not here to ask you that the only person that offers in the world is someone like me. There's tons of people that can offer it, and anybody can. And so it's really important for people to know that.
Well,
Yeah,
no, and I
go ahead.
appreciate what you guys are doing here. And sorry, Will, you can add up, but it just, I always tell people, right? It's, the information's free, right? The app, you know, the implementation is where it costs you, right? But you guys do such a good job of being subject matter experts on the information side of this niche that we're in, that for patients, for surgeons, for, it just adds to your brand and your, you know, your expertise, right? It's like, you know about all the other elements of surgery around it. So obviously you probably have studied exactly what you do very well too, right? So
Yeah,
that's where I think, you know, apart from, you know, there's no, you know, monetary benefit, but you're the I look at it and I say, wow, you know, from a patient standpoint, that would be a surgeon that I'd want to go to. And I've had 5 orthopedic surgeries myself, unfortunately. So I look at the docs that are really pushing it because I'm like, they're really looking at all the elements for the patient, not just cutting, right? They're really looking at the holistic
100%.
approach. And that is so important in today's day with surgery and with the patient, you know, with the patient satisfaction. So that's all I'll say on that. You guys are doing a great job.
100%. We got to keep this. I knew we were going to go to an hour, Will. Every time you say we're not going to go to an hour, we're going to go to an hour. We got to have one more last quick thing. We got to get Grant out of here. Show us the new technology coming really briefly, and then we got to go.
Okay, so this is coming soon. It's our first retail product. Quickly, the most efficient way to cool your core temperature is through special nerve endings, which are in the palms of your hand, the bottom of your feet, and the back of your neck, right? So, long story short, the only reason that your muscles fail, right, during workouts or, you know, running, sprinting, lifting, everything is because of heat, right? They get too hot and the heat causes them to fail. So if you've ever done a set of bench press and you feel that pump out feeling, it's because ATP is not being delivered to the muscle anymore because it's too much heat being delivered. So that being said, what this does, it's called the Rock, right? It's a palm cooling device. And again, there's so much around palm cooling on Huberman, Rogan, you know, Dr. Craig Heller out of Stanford, across the board, everybody, you know, all the girls basketball teams in the Final Four, the Duke men's basketball team, baseball team, everybody's using palm cooling because of the performance benefits. So traditionally on the market, there hasn't been a good delivery of the product, right? So what we do really well is we deliver precise cold in a very slick and innovative product that does it very well. So the Rock does that. It gets to a targeted temperature and stays there, and the performance gains around it are insane, to say the least. So everyone we've given it to, it's been we're you know, we're trying to keep it behind the curtain before we do a full launch on it. But you guys are the first ones to actually see. I know you're the first ones to actually see the product. So
there you go.
Off and running there.
Well,
Last
awesome,
thing
man.
before we wrap it up, and just we want to promote and go check out nicerecovery.com. And if you do go to the webpage, please check this page out and try to explain to everyone what is going on here with all of the dogs. Before you leave, Grant, what is happening on your webpage? For those that can't see it, the entire team, including Grant and Michael Ross, the founder, they all have this beautiful dog in their hands, and this is their picture, their team picture, their individual
team
picture.
photo.
Whose idea was this? How did this come about? I have to know before we let you go.
So we no, it's great, right? Michael, our founder, right? He's he loves to, you know, kind of do things, you know, kind of a unique and special, you know, kind of way, right? And he doesn't like to do things stuffy, and didn't, you know, he wanted to put team pictures on there in a way that really represented our company well. And he got a puppy, and the puppy is obviously as cute as it gets. So we had a round of pictures with the puppy, and yeah, it's been a big. We actually hear a lot about the pictures, so I think we're a Boulder company, so we're very into our animals. We have dogs in the office frequently, so it just kind of fits our brand, and we wanted to come off as like, it's like we're a patient. We're not a stuffy medical device company, right? We'll actually talk to you like a human. We'll ask what you're like, what surgery you haven't done, right? What's going on? Do you have somebody taking care of you? What do you have somebody, like we actually care about the details. So having a puppy kind of, I guess shows that we have at least a softer side, and we're not a traditional medical device company.
We love
That's
it,
awesome.
and we thank you so much, Grant Kashner, CCO at Nice Recovery System. Thank you for taking some time and being a part of the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. This was great. So I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Dr. Garcia, what can we say, man? It was absolutely fantastic having Grant on, and listen, man. When we say we're doing less than an hour, we got to get to less than an hour. But there's so many great things to talk about. We have so many great guests that is hard to. And it's just one of those things. But we both love the product. This was easy. This was like no homework needed for this show.
Dude, so
Here's
thank
the
goodness.
product.
I've so much homework on these shows, but not this one. This was
No,
easy.
this was an absolute layup. I don't know how we coordinated with all the green that's going on. That's a
Dude,
whole
we're not
story for
Celtics
another day.
fans. We're not Celtics fans.
We're not
just so you know.
Celtics fans. And as we wrap it up, man, we always like to let everybody know, check us out at sportsdoctalk.com. You have Dr. Garcia's face there with a nice little purple tie representing his colors. But more importantly, we have our podcast. We have our transcripts of the show. We have absolutely everything. He mentioned that you can find information on the nicerecovery.com, all of that stuff. So, I mean, who better to explain it? Last words, Dr. Garcia, because I'm going to jibber jabber all over the place. How do you want to wrap up this show as we say goodbye?
Well, first off, it was awesome guest, and as usual, we got close to an hour, and it was just too much fun. The product's awesome. You can find everything, like you said, on our website, and there's a link that goes to my main website, and you can find the recovery shop. You can find my accelerated recovery stuff, and it'll have this podcast for the NICE. In addition, you can find ways to access it and purchase it and find their website. We want to make this easy for patients. We want to make it easy for surgeons. They want to get involved. Again, no cut from us. The key here is just so you get the best possible options and you hear about the products. Again, all orthopedics, all sports, all the time. That's what I want our patients to have and hear the most cutting edge technology. So thank you.
Yeah, and think twice before you give the nice recovery, nice package. I should have just kept it and just avoided his phone calls. That would have been the smart way to do it. Now I'm all disappointed. Thank you, boys and girls, and everyone else. We had a great show. Thank you for listening to Sports Doc Talk. Thank you to our guests, Grant Kashner there at Nice Recovery, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, Dr. Garcia.